Hey, I'm Jana, the little sister.
And I'm Jeff, her big brother. Welcome to Sibling Rivalry, a podcast about our favorite sport, baseball.
This week on Sibling Rivalry Baseball, it's September and we're in the home stretch of summer.
Playoff races are taking shape. We're in the final countdown.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.
And now on to the finality of SRBB headlines.
Basketball pioneer Jerry Harkness, a two-time All-American and captain of the Loyola Ramblers, has died at the age of 81. Harkness led the Ramblers to the 1963 championship. He was inspired by Jackie Robinson to take up the game of basketball, and he ended up becoming a civil rights trailblazer. Harkness is remembered in the legendary Game of Change, when Loyola faced Mississippi State in the NCAA regional semifinals. Harkness was one of 4 black starters on Loyola's team. At the time, state laws banned Mississippi State from playing integrated teams, and Mississippi State snuck out of town to play the game. Before the game, Harkness and Mississippi State captain Joe Dan Gold shook hands at center court, and that image would become iconic. Harkness was drafted by the New York Knicks in the second round of the 1963 NBA draft. He played 1 season there before playing 2 years with the Indiana Pacers in the ABA. His buzzer-beating 92-foot shot during the 1967-68 season lifted the Pacers to victory, and to this day, it remains the longest shot ever made in a professional basketball game in the United States.
Graphic artist and musician Charles Robert Watts, born June 2nd, 1941, died on August 24th, 2021. Most people know the name Charlie Watts, the Rolling Stones drummer. With his jazz influence, he helped form the Stones sound. He joined the band in 1963. He was the most fashionable of the Stones, always looking dapper behind the skins. The Wembley Whammer, as Mick Jagger nicknamed him, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989 and the UK Music Hall of Fame in 2004 with the Rolling Stones. In addition to playing the drums all those years, he was also designer of the Stones record sleeves and tour stages.
Dust off your favorite jerseys and pom-poms. College football is back. Week 0 began with matchups featuring Nebraska and Illinois and UCLA and Hawaii as the road to the bowls begin. The big matchups begin this week as Alabama opens their season in Miami and Tulane travels to Norman to take on the Oklahoma Sooners.
Ed Asner, longtime fixture in TV and movies, has died at 91. Mostly known for his role as Lou Grant on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and then the drama spin-off, Lou Grant, where he reprised that role as a newspaper man. He was most recently known as the voice of Carl Frederick in the movie Up, and of course as Santa in Elf. So remember, if you see gum on the street, leave it there. It's not free candy. Asner was born in 1929 in Kansas City and passed on August 24th at his home in Tarzana, California. You can find these and past week's headlines on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Remember to rate and subscribe wherever you listen, and tell a friend to listen to the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Well, things are starting to not completely wind down because in the major leagues, they're starting to wind up, I guess. They're getting hotter because you've actually got some pennant races. There's not necessarily any one team that's running away with everything because there's still the wild card. The Central is pretty much already locked down. I think the White Sox and the Brewers have that. Sad days, though, in Williamsport. All those kids who have missed out on the first couple of weeks of school have to go back. But the question is, do you go back, even if you lost, do you go back like a conquering hero because your team made it to Williamsport? Do the other kids look at you differently? Does Gavin Weir go back home and have a big head and sign autographs and then start charging to sign autographs back in Sioux Falls, South Dakota? Of course, he can't say he is the Little League World Series champion. The two teams that I thought were going to go, I think were the same two teams you thought were going to go, South Dakota and Hawaii.
I thought they were going to be it. I had watched both of those teams played and thought, that's it. They're going to go. And instead, we had a football rivalry matchup.
Right. With an ending that doesn't match the football rivalry. Yeah, I'd been watching the Honolulu boys since the West Regional when I saw a kid named Pele pitch. And they were really good, and they walked through. They had both of them had a pretty decent time going through there, and thought that like South Dakota, the Torrance team, this is the first team from Southern California to go to Williamsport since like 1994. So everybody was very excited. There was things on all the local news. They actually had gone and beat South Dakota in one game, but then South Dakota came back and beat them to go to the division championship, and they won the Tom Seaver division, right?
Yes.
And then Michigan got past Hawaii, who they also played twice to make it to the Hank Aaron division championship, and they won, and they met up with the Tom Seaver division champion, who was Ohio. It was the first team from Ohio to ever make it the Little League World Series championship game. And they took on rival Michigan, which we know is a huge college football rivalry. And I have a few friends who are all Ohio State fans.
Ohio State.
I'm sorry, the Ohio State. Just the. They are the fans. So fans of the. Anyway, they probably are upset about this, because Michigan finally beat it, because Michigan hasn't been able to beat Ohio State in football, but things worked out differently this time for the state of Michigan.
This was the first final of the Little League World Series that featured teams from the same regional. These teams met in the Great Lakes Regional final, and Michigan won that game 9-1. And then they go to Williamsport and they match up again.
You would think that Ohio would have had them figured out.
You would think so, but apparently not.
If you can figure out the South Dakota team, who had 2 no-hitters, both Gavin Weir orchestrated, and as we talked about last week, the only reason he didn't get he had to have a combined no-hitter is because of the rules, where he pitched as much as he could pitch. So he couldn't do that. But in the other game that he pitched versus Torrance, 14 Ks in 6 innings and another no-hitter that he got all on his own. So you thought there was no way around them. And then the Hawaii team was they were just killer from top to bottom. They just had a great lineup, but they couldn't get past Michigan to get in there. There was another no-hitter during the Little League World Series. There was a kid named Eli Jones from Eastlake Little League in Washington State. And not only did he no-hit the Florida team, but he drove in the only run in the game. So he was responsible almost solely for the win. If somebody hadn't got on base for him to drive in, he would have had to hit a home run to win it all.
Looking at Gavin Weir, just to throw out some statistics that I thought were really interesting, was over the course of his 8 starts on the mound. This is, of course, during the whole tournament. He pitched 43 shutout innings with just 1 hit allowed, struck out 114 batters, and that has come over the course of 132 batters for an 86.4% strikeout rate. Now, for context, the highest strikeout rate among qualified starting pitchers in MLB this season is tied between Max Scherzer and Corbin Burns at 34.4%. So I say sign him now, Andrew Friedman. We need him on the mound.
Right. Yeah, we need him pitching today.
That's it. No more bullpen games. Put him in the rotation.
That's right.
They wouldn't know what to do with him.
It would be like the commercial with the I think it's a T-Mobile commercial. It has to be because it's baseball. T-Mobile commercial with Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, that's a great one.
It
Right.
breaks
I
up.
go to Little League games. Makes me feel better. I hit off them. Yeah, that's a good one. And yeah, so it could go either way, but pretty incredible stat there. Now Hawaii and South Dakota did play in a consolation game, and Hawaii beat South Dakota 5-0 in that game.
I'm guessing because either they were down, like, man, we didn't make it, because there's a letdown, I think, after that.
Oh yeah,
And Gavin Weir must not have been pitching.
yeah, he could not pitch. He was not eligible to pitch on
that game.
Sunday, or that game because he had already pitched previously, and the rules with
right. Yeah, they want to help protect the young arms out there. I have a feeling we'll see him again. Who knows where or what? Patrick Mahomes became a big Gavin Weir fan through this.
Well, and Gavin Weir also was on MLB Central one morning. John Smoltz instructed him. It's funny you mentioned autographs. He instructed him on how to write his autograph. Never pick up your pen, he told him. So it's very possible he goes back to South Dakota and is doing his autograph at school as he never picks up his pen because John Smoltz told him.
Well, when a Hall of Famer.
Well, right. And another comparison for Gavin Weir is Chris Sales. If you look side by side, the pitching delivery, very similar.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I didn't see that, but yeah, so it was a great series overall. I feel bad for the kids that they got eliminated kind of early because there's a lot of teams in there. I mean, there was 16 and it was all double elimination, but not everybody stood out and some of the teams got beat pretty quick. But I'm sure that the experience, even if they never get to go to another one, the experience will live with them forever. And we'll all remember the heroes. I remember there was the catcher from Louisiana. Watching the first time I saw Gavin Weir, the catcher from Louisiana is like a state champion frog catcher. And they had a whole little thing about him. You know how they do the little deals about certain players, like the Olympics, they do it all kind of little featurette about the player, how they are at home, how they train. One of the things they showed about that kid was him catching frogs.
One of the things I learned is from Hawaii, one of the Hawaiian players could blow up a balloon with his nose. And then his little sister is the one who taught him. So
I saw that. I didn't realize what the connection was, but I saw his little sister and the reporter. I didn't know who she was, trying to do it.
Yeah, the reporter could not blow up the balloon, but the little girl, she blew up this huge balloon with her nose. So you think how many kids were watching that, running like, "Hey, Mom, do you got balloons?" Sticking them up their nostril.
So next year, hopefully, it will be in its full glory, fans and everything, and we'll get to experience the wonders of the Little League World Series.
Well, and one thing we're missing this year is the international team, so hopefully they'll be back. And I can tell you that the Orioles and the Red Sox will be in the Little League World Series Classic next year.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Well, it's official. The Dodgers have to flip the switch, stop fooling around, start beating teams, especially teams in their way. And this week they kind of did some of that, or last week they kind of did some of that when they headed to San Diego.
Definitely a different feel for this series than when the Dodgers have played San Diego in the past this season. And this had maybe something to do with the restrictions early on because it was all full of Padres fans with some smattering of Dodger fans. But this time around, they like to call Petco Park Dodger Stadium South. And it did seem like it was back to the old stomping grounds of Dodger Stadium South. So good series for the Dodgers. They sweep the Padres, which they needed to do because the last time they played the Padres, they had their first extra innings game. That was early in the season. They won that, and then after that, it was all downhill. Luckily for the Dodgers, there was a Zennings game, but...
That's right. We went from Friday night Zennings to Wednesday night Zennings.
And not just Zennings. 16 innings. Zennings.
The longest Zennings game since the Zennings rule was in place. This was Manfred's nightmare.
It was. With his favorite team, of course, the Dregs. Oh, I forgot. That's the Asterix. The first game, we'll just talk about that real quick because was something that was really cool. The Dodgers won that game 5-2. Julio Urias got his 14th win. He leads all pitchers and wins in MLB. AJ Pollock had an amazing catch in this game, and it has become immortalized by MLB as play of the week.
Sweet. Yeah, he took that homer from Machado, and I'm surprised that the Padres, being the Padres, they didn't ask for a review.
Yeah, you would think they might. That really was a game-changing catch. It was a potential go-ahead 2-run homer, and AJ Pollock robbed it. And at Petco, the walls are short. They're not that high. So he had fans trying to get that ball, but he was on it. He had it firmly in his glove. And he said that he wanted to redeem himself after looking, as he said, unathletic as he attempted to rob Pete Alonso's home run in the Met series that they had played. He said that was really embarrassing. He tried to get, where he thought the wall was. Obviously, Dodger Stadium, those walls are a lot higher. And he was redeeming himself. And he did so in a spectacular way. And even better is Manny Machado. Because Manny Machado, as soon as a ball is hit in the outfield, he's like, oh, yeah, bat flip. Give me my hubcap.
I think what would have been funny is, and of course his own teammates wouldn't have done it, but they should have had it out when he was coming back around after he got robbed, after he's coming back in the dugout. And just as he got by the dugout, they took it away. That would have been funny.
It would have been great. I would have loved to see that.
But
no, he would have fallen on the ground and cried and stomped off. But it was a great game, 5-2. Like I said, Julio Urias, 14th win. Will Smith, always clutch, has a home run in this game. Now we go to the next night. It's Wednesday night baseball, and that calls for 16 innings of the craziest game. And I did not stay up to watch the whole game. I think I stayed up through the 10th inning, and it wasn't even the whole 10th. It was just the top of the 10th because I had to go to bed. And I'm glad I did because I'd probably still be sleeping.
Now, I did end up watching the end of that game because one of my pups wanted to be outside. So we're out walking up and down the streets, and I've got the game on. So I'm kind of like walking him around where he wants to go, watching the game. And it was pretty incredible. And it was like that whole time you're holding your breath right when you get to it, and then something happens. Oh, no. Or the phone would glitch, because like I'm out of whatever, how data goes. It just stopped for a little bit. And I'm like, and there was something about to happen, and we come back and where the Dodgers about to score, and then they come back and the Dodgers are on the mound, are on the field. And it's like, okay, they probably didn't score. Or did the Padres score? And they come back and Craig Stammen's on the mound to pitch. It's like, okay, that didn't happen. A couple things I saw in that game. Obviously, another good outing by Walker Buehler. But Max Muncy, 0 for 7 in this game. He usually will get at least one hit. But 0 for 7. AJ was 1 for 7 at least with a home run.
Yeah, that home run sealed the deal for the Dodgers. But the best home run was against Blake Snell, who somehow pitched into the 8th inning.
I know. What was going on with that? Where's the Blake Snell that can't pitch more than 4 innings? This was the pitcher that the Padres went after seeing what he did against the Dodgers in the World Series.
Yeah, he was firing on all cylinders, as they like to say. And he had said, I guess maybe the day before when they had fired the pitching coach, which we talked about, that he was disappointed that they fired him because they were building a rapport with each other. And so maybe he was doing this for Larry. He's like, look what you taught me. I can go more than 4 innings. I can do it. And he looked good because the Dodgers, if you remember from the World Series, in that 6th game, they were not doing that great. But then they figured him out and they would get a hit there, hit, and then he got pulled out of the game. This time, I think they would have had to drag him out of the stadium before he was going to be pulled out of the game. But Will Smith had a hand in that. And he had pitched, I think, at least 100 pitches. His pitch count was up to 100, maybe a little over. He had not pitched that much since 2018. It's the 8th inning. Gets up there, gets the first out. Will Smith comes up there being Mr. Clutch, promptly hits a home run off of Blake Snell, and that is the end of Blake Snell's career. Night.
That's the end of it all. It's gone. He's done.
Will Smith in that game was 2 for 6 with that home run. Also had a stolen base. There were 11 intentional walks in this game, an intentional balk. So lots of craziness, some base running.
I saw that. The intentional balk threw me off because he just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And then they were like, what's going on? And there was a lot of discussion about that. And then they finally, moved the runner over and everything. It was like, what in the world is happening here?
It was, crazy game. Dodgers come out on top. LA used 23 players. San Diego used 24 players. And AJ Pollock was the hero of the game with that 2-run homer in the 16th that sealed the deal. But Billy McKinney had a go-ahead single that put the Dodgers on top, but then Tatis Jr. came up and hit a home run that tied the game. The Dodgers bullpen, 9 1/3 innings. They allowed 1 hit. And before this, we didn't mention that Walker Buehler and Blake Snell, they were having a pitcher's duel because the first run wasn't even scored until the 8th inning.
Right. Yeah.
So that was really good. But the Dodgers, I think, hopefully have the Zennings thing figured out, maybe.
Zennings and 1-run games. They've had they've had a little success lately, which they're going to need going down the stretch.
So next night, the Thursday night game, the Dodgers shut out the Padres 4-0. Austin Barnes had a home run, had 2 RBIs. Max Scherzer's on the mound, 7 2/3 innings, 2 hits, obviously no runs, 10 strikeouts, jumbo jacks all around. And Max Scherzer knew, he said going into the game, he knew he was going to have to be out there for a while because the bullpen had pretty much, I mean, they were it in that, when it becomes a 16-inning game. So another great start for Max Scherzer and a great series for the Dodgers. Now, the next series you'd think it should be easy. It should be a walk in the park. You're at home.
Think about it. You just swept the Dregs. The team you're about to play swept the Dregs. And you're better than the team that swept the Dregs. You should walk away with another sweep or at least a series win. It's just the Rockies.
Yeah, this time, all bullpen games, all 3. Friday night's game, Brusdar Graterol started off the game. Chuck Nasty, Charlie Blackmon said hello with the 2-run home run to his friend Bazooka. I don't know if they're friends, but who knows? But Andre Jackson.
In your mind, you want to think
they're friends.
That Graterol and Charlie Blackmon would be friends.
Yeah, they're out fishing together, hiking.
Right. Yeah, they're buddies, sitting around a campfire.
What the most unlikeliest pair of people. Andre Jackson was back, and he pitched 4 2/3 innings. Not as good an outing as he had last time. He gave up a run, only had 2 strikeouts, but he gave up a home run. The problem for the Dodgers was they had 2 hits. Well, they probably had more than 2 hits, but they only had the 2 runs, which was a home run by Will Smith and Trey Turner. But the real problem was Kyle Freeland was on the mound for the Rockies. And
he went 6 innings, only gave up the 2 runs.
That's it. And they just can't seem to figure him out. And he's the bright spot for the Rockies this year, definitely. So we go to the next day. I'm like, all right, maybe that series against the Dregs, it wore them out. They got home. Okay, they lost the game. They win the next game, 5-2. David Price starts on the mound, goes 3 2/3 innings, gives up 2 hits, only has 1 strikeout. Corey Knebel had started that game. And this is what's interesting to me is Corey Knebel started the game and only went 1 2/3 innings, didn't give up any runs, had a strikeout. So I'm wondering, why don't you let Corey go longer into that game?
Maybe because as the bullpen games go on and because you need him in higher leverage situations, if you let him go much farther, you eliminate him from pitching the next day, or you may take him out for some days. So
yeah, that's a good point. And I have a question about David Price. There was some things on Twitter about David Price and how the Dodgers might not like David Price, and that's why he only pitches 4 innings or 3 innings. But David Price, now he opted out last season. He did get a World Series ring, but he auctioned that ring off for charity. So that's good on him, right? He's a good guy. And he said before the season started, I'm looking at this rotation, which at the time had Dustin May and Clayton Kershaw. And he's looking at it and he's saying, I'm probably not going to be in the rotation. So you use me how you want to use me.
Right. He was being a good team player. And to me, whether they like him or not, why would you, when you need pitching so badly, why would you limit him? Let him pitch more if he's doing well. Don't limit him to just a couple of innings like you would a reliever, because you need to give some of these guys a little more rest. The bullpen is pitching every day. And so it really handcuffs, it handcuffs Andrew Friedman and what he directs robots to do.
Yeah. And I think we've seen David Price. So far, it looks like he usually goes about 4 innings. So he was almost there. I don't know, what the thought process was again for robots. Did he have a thought process? He was just given a card here. This is what you do. For the Rockies, John Gray was on the mound. Usually, he's had some injuries this year, but he's just a good pitcher. He left after the second inning. He had some arm soreness. Bud Black, the manager of the Rockies, said that he doesn't think it's anything serious. So they're gonna reevaluate him. But another good game for the Dodgers, 5-2. You had Will Smith with 2 RBIs. He had a single. CT3, 1 for 4. He had a home run. And then AJ Pollock came up in a pinch hit roll and got an RBI there. So nice game for the Dodgers on Saturday. And you're like, all right, the Dodgers are back. And then Sunday rolls around and they're all taking a nap on a Sunday afternoon. I did not watch the entire game because I had been
for a daydream.
That's about it.
Let's go watch a game. Hey, we're at a game. We'll just watch this one. Wow, those guys have pretty uniforms with the purple on them.
Full disclosure, I was binge watching a show and I had to get to the next episode, figure out what happened. So I did not start watching the game until the 7th inning, turned on the game. It was 5-0 and decided maybe I'll find another show to binge watch.
I too got to the game late. I was doing some stuff on and off throughout the day. And then I remembered, the game's on. So I turned it on. And I think part of it that got in my head was the Angels didn't play on Sunday.
Right. Which
so I was thinking,
odd.
I don't have any Angel games. So I thought, oh no, Dodgers Rockies. And so I get in there, and when I tuned in, Joe Kelly was pitching. It was already 3-0. They were loading up the bases, and I did something else. I looked back up as two more runs, 5-0. I said, you were losing when I got here. You're losing worse since I've been here. I'm just going to let you guys do this on your own. And I turned it off and went and did something else.
And then I was looking at Twitter and they said, Justin Turner is warming up on the mound. So I promptly turned it back on so I could see Justin Turner's pitching debut. And I texted you so you could watch it too.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed it. I had to watch the highlights.
But he made it through the inning. He has a 0 ERA. So I guess
gave up 2 hits.
That's it. Yeah. I think the 2 hits were from Trevor Story and CJ Crone. So, that's 2 guys that are always, doing well and good hitters. So nothing to hang your, head about. But he had been wanting to be in this role, asking Doc, hey, if this situation ever comes up. Well, a situation came up. I don't know if they were necessarily out of pitchers, but I think they're resting some arms because they've got big series coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably, but that's the thing. You if you're only going to do like a bullpen game once every couple weeks or something, that's one thing because you want to set up your pitching staff for another big series. But that's not the case here. Every day is a bullpen game, except recently with Julio and Walker, and any game could turn out to be an entire bullpen game. You figure 16 innings last week that's going to become a bullpen game regardless. At some point, you're going to start going through your relievers. So I think JT just wanted to have the umpires check his hat and glove for because they weren't thinking about what was on his back. He kept
Right.
scratching his back,
Yeah, he could scratch his back. I think I listened to, in order for me to watch the game, I watched the Rocky Speed, and they said, "Have you ever seen a pitcher wear sunglasses like that to pitch?" So why not? He
I
was
think,
he was out
yeah,
there, and he got, he got he had 2 hits, but he got the outs. So,
yep.
there are no runs scored. So I think the sunglasses work, and maybe other pitchers will look at his performance and say, maybe we too need to wear those sunglasses.
The other problem for the Dodgers that day was Antonio Sensatella.
Yeah, he had a no-hitter through 4 innings, which are like no-hitter for the Rockies, but he was he was doing well. He pitched 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, had 5 strikeouts. The Dodgers couldn't figure him out. Their bats were dead. They, it was just a whole, I shouldn't say this, but it was Cody Bellinger 1 through 9.
Yeah, right. It really was. Actually, that's at the point where you're like, did we ever have a chance to sign CJ Crone? And if so, why didn't we?
And can we do it now? Like,
Yeah,
in the middle?
Is there something we can make work out? The problem is they've got so many good pieces in place that, what do you do? And then, he and Charlie Blackmon pretty much were the offense.
They were it, yeah.
For them. Interesting stat that came up on one of the games, talking about Will Smith, and it was probably in the Drake series, that before the All-Star game, he was hitting a home run once every 23 at bats. Since the All-Star break, he's hitting a home run once every 9 at bats. And when you go through the games, it's almost becoming a surprise if there's not a home run by him. So he's really helped carry that, and you saw some of that. We know that Trey Turner has really changed a lot of the look for the Dodgers, and Trey seems to be enjoying his time there. Maybe he's putting himself in position to want to stay and re-sign with them. Who knows what the Dodgers will do? Of course, some of that depends on what happens with Corey. Right now, the biggest thing we know is, what do we do with the pitching staff? How do we continue to manage it? At this point, things really need to come together, and they've got to be really tight on how they play this part of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Because pitching, it's everything. You got to have the offense, but you got to have good pitching to go along with it. One thing we didn't mention is there were 2 players that were sent down to Oklahoma City. That was Matt Beatty, and that one's debatable. The other one,
well, I think he became the odd man out. You're not going to send Albert down.
No, and there might have been some other guys, but you also have to look at options. Do they have options? And he did. Right. And the other guy that got sent down, Gavin Lux.
Who deserved
no tears from me. He's in Oklahoma City. Well, he's playing third base in Oklahoma City.
He played third base in first game out down there. He was batting leadoff, was 0 for 5. I don't remember if this is the case or I'm just making it up, but it seems like he had an error or 2.
Probably, I think so. But I think you mentioned Trey Turner and Corey Seager, I think it's Gavin Lux goes to AAA. Maybe there's some trade, something happens, and he stays there because you got a good thing going there. And they seem to be gelling when you see him on the field. There's been some missteps on Trey Turner's part, not very many. No, especially not on the base pads.
He makes up for it.
Exactly.
On the base pass or offensively.
Right, but it's because he's a shortstop and he's playing second base, but he is doing a good job at second base, but it's a new position because you're used to throwing from one side of the field. Now you're on the other side. So I could see exactly, and he can make them. I could totally see Corey and Trey Turner being in the same outfield like they are now.
Infield.
Yeah, thank you. In the infield, like they are now, going forward into the next season.
Infinity and beyond.
Yes, as a Dodger fan, I want Trey Turner on that base
Those
pads.
guys will be like 120 years old. They're still out there trying to hit that double play. Trey doesn't slide as well. He broke that hip one time, but
he uses a
he was
walker.
119. That's funny. He and Pujols will probably be part of that.
Yeah,
because I don't think Albert wants to quit anytime
ever
soon either.
No, he will.
Well, why would you?
Still
You want to? It's such a great game, and imagine being able to play that as your life. How many like those kids that are 12-year-old kids in Little League? They might not ever play anymore. Maybe they'll play in high school, but at some point they're probably not going to play competitively anymore.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll join the local beer softball league and, the kegger league. And
maybe they'll have kids of their own and they'll coach their teams and they'll go on. Yeah. The Dodgers on the week were 4-6. So, not bad, but they had that sweep in San Diego, which I think for me, I know as a Dodgers fan, you know how the Padres are playing overall. We know where they are in the standings, but there was still a little bit of concern going into San Diego that they could have won the series. They could have swept the Dodgers because of the way they play against the Dodgers. They don't play this way really against anyone else. But when the Dodgers come to town, it's, hey, we got to, it's World Series baseball, playoff baseball, and we got to play like that. But
so as you've alluded to a couple times, got a big week. The Braves, who are pretty much in control of the NL East now. The others, the Phillies, and of course the Mets are fading. And we're going to talk about the Mets coming up and around the league for sure. But they're having some issues, those two, and the Braves just are winning. The Braves are becoming the East version of the Giants because the Giants, and of course, when the Giants have lost, that's when the Dodgers decided to lose instead of gaining ground.
Yeah, and a good example is Sunday's game. Giants lost 9-0 on Sunday. You know that the Dodgers are looking at the scoreboard. I mean, it's right there. And then they're like, yeah, well, they lost 9-0. We'll just lose 5-0. It'd be okay. It's weird how that always seems to work out, that if they lose, the Giants lose, the Dodgers lose. Kershaw has been throwing. He has an extended bullpen session, or he will face hitters this week. So that is good news. Tony Gonsolin will throw a simulated game this week. Another good sign. And we didn't mention this, but Trevor Bauer's administrative leave has been extended out to the 3rd and probably will be extended again.
One of the things that I was going to bring up with that was that his case, the Pasadena Police Department has wrapped up the investigation and they have sent it to the LA County District Attorney's Office for them to look at and decide whether charges should be filed. To me, that sounds like maybe not good news for Trevor Bauer. Because I think that if they found there's nothing for us to send to them, but I don't know if they just can't make that decision, if it has to go. I don't know what the process is here. So with that, so we should probably hear something about that soon. We'll keep you updated. Finishing up the week, we talked about Atlanta coming to town. Then the Dodgers are going to get the caravan going, load up the bus, and head on up the VW wagon on up to San Francisco, hang out at Haight-Ashbury, get
Listen to some
groovy, wear some
Grateful
tie-dye.
Dead.
Why isn't there like a tie-dye uniform?
Oh, that would have been cool for City Connect. Didn't need
Yeah,
the
instead of
fog.
that
I
fog
can
thing, they
get
could have
foggy
had that.
anywhere.
And they could go over and they could visit the Red House. That was the Jimi Hendrix song. There's a Red House over yonder.
Take pictures there.
They could have done all that stuff, but they will go to whatever the name of that park is now, Oracle Park, Pac Bell. I don't know.
Candlestick. I still call it Candlestick sometimes.
Well, they are
Yeah.
opposite sides of the bay. One's closer to the city, the other one's gone now. Maybe they should just go make it a sandlot.
Yeah.
And that could be a sandlot game. Anyway, so they're going to be up in San Francisco where they need to win. They cannot let those games get ahead. They were able to pick up games earlier before, then they lost a little ground, but they pretty much maintained. So now can they pick it up? Because they could leave San Francisco in sole possession of first place if they can win. All right, your player of the week this week?
I had to go with Will Smith, the Fresh Prince. He was clutch when we needed hits. He got the hits. He was 5 for 14, had 5 RBIs, 3 home runs, had that single that was also run inducing, and he hit 357 over the week. So Will Smith.
Well, not a bad pick. He's becoming one that's kind of like you can just go back to every week. He's probably a candidate every week. I went with the other candidate that's there every week, it seems like. The 3 for 3 game for Will Smith was in my head, but this guy ended up having a 3 for 3 game as well during the week. Hit a couple of home runs, and it's the new kid on the block. You can't avoid him. It's Trey Turner is who I went with. He had a home run, a couple of doubles, scored 4 runs, awesome slides, and batting .320. So he and Will are really 2 cogs in this machine that are really keeping things going. The other guys contribute here and there, unless your name's Cody, and then everybody else is does something. But these 2 guys, when you need something, they tend to be the guys that step up and bring it. Before we take a look at the Angels week, remember to head over to our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Click on the Fanatics links and get all your Dodgers and Angels gear, and any other team you like. College football, as we talked about earlier, starting. You can get USC gear, Fight On, or whatever college, I don't know, like Sooner stuff or things like that. So the Angels book in their week, and I'll explain that more in just a second. They started off the week in the hometown of Babe Ruth, on the field where Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,600 not all of them, but played a lot of his 2,632 consecutive games. Yes, that would be Camden Yards. Now, when I was a kid, Camden Yards didn't exist. They played in every town had the same stadium, Municipal Stadium or something like that. And maybe it was named after the county it's in, but he's played a lot of time there. But they were at Camden Yards.
I have been to Camden Yards. I want to say that because I usually haven't been anywhere, but I've been there. Yeah, very nice ballpark.
Never went to Yankee Stadium. I would have thought would have been the place to go, but no.
I did go to Yankees. I did go
but not
Yankees
to watch a
Stadium.
game. You went to go watch some English guys sing about the terrible things going on in England growing up. And how they couldn't have any pudding because they didn't eat their meat.
Well, I know a lot of people were comfortably numb during that concert, so it was very good.
That I fully believe. Now, I think, too, when you look at Baltimore, the Camden Yards kind of started the renaissance of the new buildings. Let's make it kind of old school
But
instead of
new.
these big circle. Well, all of them had become like Angel Stadium had got enclosed in when the Rams came, and it was just a big circle. Veteran Stadium. Did you ever go to Veteran Stadium?
Yeah. I saw the
In
Phillies
Philly.
and the Yankees play. Yeah.
Like, if you remember in the 80s and 90s, 70s, the Coliseum in Oakland is kind of that same style where it was made for multi-use. That was the thing then.
Yeah.
Luckily, none of those are really around anymore. But they pretty much started it, and then I think Cleveland. And now when you build a new stadium, you have like look at Petco. They got that the old building out there. They're trying to preserve some history from parts of the city. They're trying to do so.
Are we talking about the Angels in this segment or stadiums? I can't remember in our production meeting.
I don't think we talked about it, but I think it's easy to not talk about the Angels right now. Unfortunately, all of their the pitchers that have been around for the season are almost all of them on the IL. Patrick Sandoval, who we weren't sure if he was going to be out. We heard he might be, but he has like a stretch fracture. He and Griffin Canning must have been wrestling or something because they have almost the same thing. Is that Matt Wise's fault? The pitching coach that he's
yes,
getting
obviously.
him to do something?
Yeah, I think it is.
Or did Larry Rothschild consult with Matt Wise, and that's what caused the problem?
They had Zoom meetings.
And two of them ended up with broken backs,
That's
essentially.
right.
Well, game one looked really good because this was the thing that we talked about, the Orioles and the Angels. The Orioles have a worse record. The Angels overall have been better, but the Angels show up in Baltimore really limping. They're almost hopping on some crutches because as a team, there's not a lot that you can do when people are injured. And especially when you have that much of the pitching staff and you're having to call people up from rookie league to pitch because you can't deplete your AAA or your AA teams. I mean, I guess you could, but you're calling a lot of people up because you don't have anybody. Well, the first game, Dylan Bundy came in, only went an inning and a third with the start, gave up one run. But the Angels did take this as a win, 14-8. Fletch, 2 RBIs. Joe Adell, who has his moments, 4 RBIs in that game, was 2 for 5 with a triple. Brandon Marsh, his buddy, 4 for 6, scored 2 runs, 2 RBIs. Juan Lagares with a home run. So that was, if I don't throw all those guys out there now, it's really hard to go through. The next game they did okay, but there's not a lot of offense in the not so creamy center. So it's like you pulled the Oreo cookie out of the bag and there was just like a small paste, the filling, just a little bit. So you got one that was bad off of the assembly line or whatever. Instead of being the double stuff, you didn't even get to, you got like half stuff Oreos. If that, you got like quarter stuff.
Well, this game was the Orioles' 19th consecutive loss. So you're like, okay, the Angels have this. They should have this. And
they should have had at least 20 consecutive losses.
At least.
And maybe 21. But that didn't happen either. Ryan Mountcastle from the Orioles, Anthony Santander, another one of my favorites, 4 for 5 with a home run. And then unfortunately, in his first game against his old team, Jahmai Jones, 0 for 4. But he was hit by a pitch. Maybe that was kind of that, hey, remember we're pals, and they hit him just ha ha ha. I don't know. Maybe that was it. Of course, I don't think Junior Guerra. I think that's who hit him was anyway. And then Andrew Wantz, who's a new reliever, has been called up, doing okay, but he gave up 2 home runs. So, and of course, one of those to Mountcastle. The next game, Shohei was, and I guess it's going to happen. He just had a really bad game. But for everything he's doing, this isn't like, oh, there he is back to form. He's had a couple of good games. No, this is out of character for the season.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he pitched 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs, had 7 strikeouts, but did give up 3 home runs. Very uncharacteristic of Shohei.
Yep, for sure. Cedric Mullins and once again, Santander really taking advantage. They also ran into a pitcher that they probably didn't expect this to happen with, a kid named Keegan Aiken. He went 7 innings in that game, only gave up 3 hits and 1 run, struck out 6. Brandon Marsh again stepping up, 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs. So it was a 10-6 loss. But there was Brandon Marsh, put some runs on the board, and then Brandon Marsh did that, and then Jared Walsh starting to come back after being on having a hard time coming back off of the IL. He's beginning to build upon that and really picking it up. Then in the final game, it looked like things were going to start off. I mean, they started off great. Shohei Ohtani, first thing up, hits number 41. And that would be it for the Angels.
That was it. Good night.
Good night, Irene. They had 3 total hits in that game. I'm sorry. 3 total hits. Lost that one 13-1. Jaime Barria, not a bad start. Only gave up 5 hits and a run, but it was Elvis Peguero and Jake Patrica, both with ERAs in, I think one's like 67.50 ERA and the other one's like 40-something ERAs. And these are guys who they had to be called up. Patrica inherited 3 runners and 3 runners scored. So that doesn't help. So they leave, they limp out of, they don't even limp out of there. They were taken out by ambulance. They had to airlift them out and put them on some sort of life support to get them back to to Anaheim, because Arizona would have been better. Just left them to roam around in the desert for the rest of the. Anyway, they come home to face the previously swept Padres for a 2-gamer, and continued their losing ways and helped the Padres. So look at this. The Angels are givers. They helped the Orioles break their losing streak. The Padres had just got swept. They helped them break their losing streak and make them feel better about themselves.
And it's the Angels. They just give and give and give.
Give and give. See, people could actually say, how people say that, my guardian angel, or I got an angel on my shoulder, or what was the TV show Highway to Heaven with Michael Landon? He was like an angel.
Yeah.
So they were the Padres angels, and the Padres blanked them 5-0. Marsh once again had a hit, but it was the Goose. Gosselin had 2 hits. So of the 3, the Goose was the guy. Of course, once again, another pitcher had their way with them, and this time in a complete game shutout, 3-hitter, Joe Musgrove, who we know pitched a no-hitter earlier this season.
Yep.
Didn't he throw the first no-hitter of the season?
I think he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah. So, complete game. You don't see those very often, but And
Nope.
Blake Snell was like, it could have been me, but it wasn't.
Yeah, nope, it wasn't. And then I think the sad part is when any of like if Tatis Jr. provides the offense that beats you, Machado even, Cronenworth, you know, Adam Frazier even, who's just showed up. But when Jurickson Profar is the guy who leads the charge to beat you, it's time for you to maybe start reconsidering your life choices.
Looking in the mirror.
So, unfortunately, but like I said, the Angels couldn't put it together, and it was really it was a bullpen game. Once again, they've got
What's a
major
bullpen
issues. Game? What's that?
I said, what's a bullpen game?
What's that? Cooper Criswell, who's just been called up, gave up 3 of the 5 runs. Packy Naughton, who I hear is probably getting into a spot where he can be a starter because they desperately need starting pitching, is going to be, he gave up 2 of the runs. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the bookends. This week started with a win, 14-8, and ended with a win. Now, they used to be kind of 500 every week. Maybe they would be a game over 500. Now they're starting to be a game under 500 every week. They lost 3, but they did win the 2, and they won the 2 in fine fashion. If you're excited about, they got you excited about them, at least for that game. Jared Walsh, 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a home run. Captain Jack, here's a guy who is making the most of his time. Him and Phil Gosselin are both in that game. Mayfield with another home run. Brandon Marsh has done well too. 3 for 4 with a run. Jose Suarez only went 3 2/3. But the bullpen in this game shut down the dregs. The 2 runs were off of Suarez. The Angels scored 10. And they shut down the dregs the rest of the way. Andrew Wantz, even Junior Guerra, Steve Cishak. Those are 2 guys that, wow. That's not characteristic.
Yeah, maybe they were looking in the mirror. In this game, Justin Upton got his 1,000th RBI, and Shohei also joined a club during this game. He had the 40-20 club, 40 home runs, 20 stolen bases. So
yeah,
exciting. So they start out the week on a high note, and then and then the middle of the week is just bad, and then they end it because Saturday was the end of their week, and they end it on a high note. So
yeah,
that's
the dregs don't look any better pitching other than Joe Musgrove. They used 7 pitchers in that last game, and only Daniel Hudson and Nabel Christman did not allow a hit in the game.
And in this game, was it Ryan Weathers from San Diego that started the game? Actually hit Shohei on the hand. So that's super scary.
And now I really hate Ryan Weathers.
I was just going to say he's on my list of I have a dartboard. And
I have a bigger reason. As I've mentioned before, I'm going to the Angels-Yankees game on the Tuesday game, which already passed. Shohei was supposed to start that game. And now I get to see Jaime Barria pitch. I'd never seen Shohei pitch. I've seen him play, but I've never seen him pitch in person. I didn't know he was going to pitch. I had picked this game because of the significance to me, not because. But I was like, that's even better.
Yeah.
But thanks to Ryan Weathers, you man-threaded this up for me, boy.
He's a dumb drag.
Yes. Anyway, so as we said, the pitching staff, for the most part, a lot of guys are out. We've even got Chris Rodriguez, who'd been up and down. He's on the IL in AAA, so he's not even against their IL up here. But Sandoval, Griffin Canning, what's his name? Luke Baird, Daniel Baird from the Rockies. Brother, he's out for the season. They've got a lot of injury issues.
Well, you also have COVID. So Jose Marte, I had mentioned Jose Marte, he had got called up and then put on the IL. Didn't know why. Now we know why. He brought the COVID with him, and it has placed Austin Warren and Reed Detmers on that list as well. So not good.
I guess those young guys all hanging together that were all Salt Lake Bee. They were all bees. So they're I'm surprised then that Brandon Marsh and Joe Adele didn't get it.
Well, they've been in the big leagues, a few weeks now, and then
Brandon Marsh for a lot longer,
than
Joe Adele. But yeah, they're probably like, hey, we don't hang out with no pitchers. No.
No.
We don't hang out with the pitchers, so they didn't get it. And then other news, it's beginning to look more and more like we're not going to see Trout back till next season. Mike does want to come back, even if it's just to play the last 2 games of the season. For his mental well-being, Madden and the Angels have said, whatever Mike wants to do, we're going to work with him and support him. Of course you do. He's your biggest player, and he's the face of your team. Well, he was the face of your team. Right now, that's Shohei.
The issue with Mike Trout is he's doing baseball activities, but it's the day after he does those activities. He's still feeling soreness in the calf. So to me, it's like, he could maybe play maybe a couple of games just to play. But is this going to be something that they're going to have to look seriously to see what's going on?
Joe Madden said they're not past the idea of maybe shutting him down for the season. So, what's going on? Why is it still sore after that? He can go hard in that day and the next day. I know for me, when I work, and I'm nowhere near the athlete these guys are, or in any shape or anything, but I'm usually, if I work hard on one day and really physical, the next day I probably feel okay. It's the second day after that it hits me, and then I'm like, I can't hardly move. And
I can't get out of bed. Yeah, so it's an interesting. I mean, you think Mike Trout has not played since May 17th, and that's a long time for this type of injury.
Right. So is it something like Rendon, where there's something bigger? And they did bring out, and it seems like this has been a season of injury things where things have been put out that aren't necessarily fully the truth, or not the whole picture. Now apparently with Anthony Rendon, this hip thing was there, but it wasn't so much a problem. But the other things, the hamstring issue, and what else did he have? They both
even knee issue, I think.
Yeah, well, he took a foul ball off the knee or something, and the contusion, and it was worse than and then why wasn't he coming back? Well, a lot of that, and we know this, you turn your ankle, you got a foot problem, and you're walking different with the limp, all of a sudden your hip or something hurts, or your other knee hurts because you're compensating.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what's happening. And maybe the thing with Mike Trout is we found out that there was a tear in his calf muscle. That was never put out before. We just thought it was a strain all this time. And then it turns out there was a tear. It wasn't a huge tear, but I wonder if that's part of the problem is number one, nobody, if we'd have known it was a tear, we wouldn't have been sitting here thinking what's really going on.
Right. Yeah. So, we didn't get the whole picture.
Right. So hopefully if he can come back and play a couple of games, I think that'll be good for the team and him and, the mindset, I guess. hopefully we don't lose anybody else, and that I don't know if it matters if any of these pitchers really come back. We're seeing good things from some of the guys coming up. Once we can get and Wants especially, I'm not Wants. Warren especially has been pitching really well. We can get him back off of the COVID list. Let Detmers have some more time. Maybe it's time to start thinking about who else we can pull up and feel comfortable with, not forcing them into something too soon, especially on a team that's just playing out the string. Because the veteran players are going to have a different attitude than if you're in a pennant race or you're still in a mix. So, all right. As I mentioned, the Yankees are coming to town for 3, followed up by a team that they should beat, but probably won't, or may split a series with, the Rangers. And of course, you got to watch out because Adolis Garcia, their rookie sensation, is coming in, and he's been on fire for the Rangers for the last few weeks. So, no, you know what? We're just playing out the string with them too. As far as the Angels segment, maybe we should just start doing college football segment in their place, because really, we're going to be talking about what guys did, but how many more people are on the we may have to move the wheel of the IL to the Angel segment.
I want to mention, we do player of the week. I'm not sure. Do you have a player of the week?
I do. This week I do.
Okay. All right.
Last week I had a hard time with it because I just felt like there was some quitting going on. Not that there was, but it just, and this week was a hard one, but I readjusted my thinking as to how I could, put this together. So.
All right. Okay. Well, I picked this guy last week as my player of the week, and that was Brandon Marsh. And I totally could have picked him again this week. But I went in a different direction with a guy who, for the most part, had a hit in every game except for one. And that's Joe Adell. So I have Joe Adell as my player of the week, but he's my player of the week, not really for the performance on the field, but it was when he was in Baltimore and he tosses a ball into the stands, and that ball knocked the drink out of the hand of a young Orioles fan. And, he could have been like, oh, well, I tried to give you a ball. You could have put your drink down, but he didn't. And he went back to the dugout, came back out, had an autographed bat for the fan that he had knocked the drink out of the hand, took a picture with them. And so Joe Adell has a new fan in Baltimore. And, that's my player of the week.
That was cool, but it would have been better if he'd have got Shohei to sign the bat. He could have signed it too, but imagine that kid did. Joe Adell really would have been his favorite player forever.
Oh,
because he gave him a Shohei bat. But no, yeah. I agree that was a classy move on his part. It definitely gives him a different look. He's becoming better. He's got a better mindset. Joe Madden was saying he could see a complete difference in him in how he's been going about the game this season versus last season. Even early in, even during spring training, he's seeing a difference in his approach to the game. He's getting a little better. I see a little more hustle in the outfield that I wasn't seeing before. He's still not consistently hitting, and that's what stops me. I mean, he had 4 RBIs in that one game, but Brandon Marsh came up and had 5 RBIs in a different game. I could have went with Marsh as well. Didn't think about Adell because he hasn't given me everything, although that was a classy move. That was cool. I went with a guy who's been in this position before, and he's starting to reestablish himself. And so I wanted to call that out with a 333 batting average this week. He had 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 home runs, drove in 4, walked 4 times, had a double, and that's Jared Walsh, the All-Star. And I see him coming back to form. I was worried that when he came back off of the IL that he was going to be, because he was struggling a little bit, that maybe, it's like when you lose the spell that you were put under in in the movies or TV, or Rookie of the Year, when he goes out and he falls and it undoes his arm and he can't, throw 2,000 miles an hour anymore.
Right.
That's I think I was worried that's what happened to Jared Walsh, but he's picking it back up and he's reasserting himself. And there's still some players on the Angels that make this a fun team to watch at times. Here we go again. Time to take a look around the league. At some point, we're going to spin the big wheel. We're also going to go to Flushing, which seems to be an appropriate name for the Mets season at this point. But first, like every week, we got the MLB, AL, and NL players of the week. Who, where, what, why, when? The win we already did. This was last week.
The NL player of the week is Tommy Edman. He is the Cardinals' second baseman. He batted .462 with 7 runs, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases over the past week. He registered multiple RBIs in each of the final 4 games of the week, including a 3 RBI effort in the Cardinals' victory over the Pirates. It was just his 3rd game with at least 3 runs batted in this season. He also has 21 steals. He is 3rd in the National League behind Trey Turner and Fernando Tatis Jr. So
it's his first time.
And it's us the first time since 2019 that a Cardinals player.
And that would have been Yadier Molina.
The AL player of the week is Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals. He went 10 for 28 with an MLB best 6 homers, 14 RBIs during the week. He's gone deep in 5 consecutive games, tying a Royals franchise record. And he had a grand slam on back-to-back nights against the Mariners. His home run on Sunday against Seattle was his 38th of the season, setting a new American League single-season record for the most home runs by a player who has played at least 75% of his games at catcher. Now, this is what really got me. Not that he had all those home runs, but this is the first time that he has been named Player of the Week in his 10-year career.
Wow. Yeah, you would have thought he's been pretty solid for all those years. That you'd have thought at least once somewhere in there. So it's a Missouri sweep of the players of the week. The only thing that we need now, if you're from Missouri, you like Missouri, is we need the next season of Ozark to finally drop, because it is the last season, and I'm sad about that. I'd like to see like some of those guys like Tommy Edman and Salvador Perez show up.
There's cameos.
And cameos there.
Yeah. Or
Nolan Arenado or. So yeah, I need me some Ozark, but congratulations to those guys. All right. So a couple of things that popped in my head. One, Bryce Harper. How much have we heard about Bryce Harper this season?
His cleats on the first day of the season, opening day, he always makes a big splash. That's about it.
Right. But Bryce Harper is quietly, remember, years ago, especially when he was with the Nationals, he was a bigger personality, even when he first kind of showed up with the Phillies. But it seems like you don't hear about him anymore. And remember, there was that whole thing about whose marketability is greater, Bryce Harper or Mike Trout. And everybody said Bryce Harper because Bryce Harper put himself out there. He was doing, I don't know, Gatorade commercials.
Yeah,
But
he seemed more flashy. Like he's flashier. Mike Trout is not really
no,
flashy.
Mike Trout's the workman. He goes to work. He
Yes.
puts on his hard hat, and he gets to work. Bryce Harper's the guy that's out there. Hey, look what I'm doing. Well,
And he's from Las Vegas.
Right. So I guess he's got that showgirl mentality. He's walking around. That's why he likes the Philly thing so much, because he walks like the old time showgirls with the big feathers on the back and all that. That's why he likes that. He's batting .302 this season. He's got 26 home runs. He's got 61 RBIs. He's having his OPS plus is 175, which means he's 75% better than other people in the league, because 100 is average. So he's really a 4.3 WAR this season. He's been a solid part of the Phillies, and I just wanted to shout out at him because he's finally figured out, just shut up and play baseball.
That's it.
And you'll do better. I don't care if they're big personalities. I don't mind Fernando Tatis Jr. and his big personality or others. Miguel Cabrera has a big personality, but he's funny about it. Him and Adrian Beltre were always kind of funny about the things that they did, but they always had big personalities. Albert Pujols isn't that. You don't come off with like, you're just a jerk. It's like Trent Grisham wants to be that guy. I heard, I don't know, we didn't mention it, but I heard that he spit in the direction of the Dodgers dugout and then was like for the rest of the series or something.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be that kind of guy, you know.
Yeah. Don't be a jerk. But he is. So
I just wanted to give Bryce Harper a shout out. I've always thought he's a good player. I didn't always need to see or hear him. I like watching him play, but I like his game now. You know, I love his connection to the Phillies. He's become a real Philly, and the whole fanatic thing is awesome. Since we're in Pennsylvania, apparently following the Dregs line of firing a coach because something's not going right, the Pirates have fired their hitting coach.
Yeah, they appreciated his dedication, but he had to go. So his dedication was he showed up to every game, to all the road games, but he didn't teach them how to hit, and he needed to go.
Now, here's the thing. If you look at a team like the Pirates that have just a couple of players, they traded off Josh Bell to the Nationals. They've got Ke'Bryan Hayes, rookie, not bad. They've got a couple of other pieces there. But why does the general manager who put the team together still have a job? If he gives the management team nothing to work with, you know, maybe he helped Cody Bellinger out. Because Cody has had some hitting issues, has a MVP season, and then changes his batting stance and can't hit anymore. So,
yeah.
But what happens? The GM's the one that put the team together. If you give us nothing to work with, and then even while we're tanking, you trade away the players that we got from the minors or we were able to draft, and you send these top prospects away to get some other bad player. Is this like Major League where the lady, you know, the new owner, she's going to finish dead last, drive attendance down, move the team to Florida? Is something like that going on here with, or are they just doing it? Hey, we want to be like we're in Major League. Let's do that.
Maybe because they're having a season where, you know, they have some little highs but mostly lows. And they're like, let's do theme. The rest of the year, we're doing a theme. And our theme is Major League. And that's what they're doing.
And I think if I go back and look at the standings, at their record, they've lost more games than the Giants, who lead the league, have won. Arizona's lost, almost 90 games now. The Giants have won, 84-ish, 83, 84. And even the Dodgers are in that mix, about 82, 83 now. Only it looks like Miami, Minnesota are the only teams in last place that have fewer losses than the Giants have wins. But the Rangers, Baltimore has like 89 losses. They should have had like 97 losses by now. Thanks, Angels. Anyway, why aren't there more GMs being fired?
Yeah, well, that's really who you have to look at, because the coaches are working with what they have. And, it goes down to he can teach them or show that, but when they get in the batting box, it's all them. They have to have some responsibility.
Since I yelled out about the Orioles again, the Rays were 18-1 in the season series versus the Orioles this year. And I think that they almost won the game that they lost. The Orioles almost blew that. So in Tampa Bay, with really nobody that stands out. Arozarena's there. Wander Franco, who had, what was it he did this last week that he joined like Mickey Mantle, and I think it was his on base game streak, his per game, or how many games he's been on base. Games getting on base. Yes, yeah. That's the way I wanted to say it. And it was like, and he's up at like 20, and like Mickey Mantle, he's in Mickey Mantle territory, and a few other big Hall of Fame names. So they have those guys, but their pitching staff is average. But I think I've said this before. If you had a team that had a WAR of 0 across the board or 1, you're probably in a good spot, because teams that have a mix where they've got a lot of negative WAR players and a couple of positive WAR players are technically not as good. And Tampa Bay's doing it without spending a lot of money, like a $68 million payroll, and the Dodgers are around 200.
Yeah. Well, in Tampa Bay, you mentioned Randy Arozarena, but you don't really hear a lot about him. You just don't. You hear about Tampa Bay and they're winning, but that's about it. They're tucked away in Florida, and we'll see him, I'm sure, in the postseason, but you just don't hear about it. And I guess that's just, maybe that works for them. That's good because they're doing well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I think it goes to, like you've said many times, like in conjunction with like the Giants, they're just playing baseball. Arozarena's batting .274 on the season. He's got a 3 WAR, 17 home runs, 58 RBIs, 12 stolen bases. So he's having a solid season. I guess we all expected it to be a lot more based on what we saw, especially in the playoffs, but his season last year. But he's contributing. He doesn't have to carry the team, and that's what's nice about I guess that team. No one person. I think the only player on that team that probably wants to carry that team is Brandon Lau, because he thinks he gets overlooked on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's like the middle child of the
Rays. We'll see what they can do when they get to the playoffs. It looks like they're probably going to be currently. When you look at the playoffs, they're running away with the East. The White Sox pretty much have locked down, and the A's keep fading. So it looks like the Asterisks are going to take the West. And unless something happens, if Oakland can get on it, and even Toronto maybe go on a streak at the end of this, if nothing like that happens, you're going to see the Yankees and the Red Sox in an old school battle in the wild card game.
That'd be really good. I mean, classic.
For sure. And then they'll go play Tampa Bay. So it'll be an all East wild card, and then one of them will go to play Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay has the best record in the American League right now at 83-48, I think. And they're like on a major winning streak. And then when it comes to the NL, Atlanta, like I said, seems to be walking away. Milwaukee's secured their spot as the Central winner, and then the Dodgers and the Giants are hopefully going to be slugging this out, not till the very end, but because the Dodgers need to clinch and then have a little time to get their pitching staff and their rotation set. But if they weren't to make it, San Francisco won the division. The Dodgers are a shoo-in. They're locked in for the wild card. They're 12.5 games up on Cincinnati, who's only a half game ahead of San Diego. So we're going to see the Dregs battling in and the Reds. So we're going to have to watch those two teams and how they each play to see who's going to match up with the whether it be the Dodgers or the Giants, because one of them will be the wild card team. It's going to be tough for some, especially with the teams like I said, Oakland's out. They've dropped back to like 5.5 games out. The Yankees are 7 games out from Tampa Bay, 10 games for Cleveland. Phillies are only 3.5 games out, so there's still a battle there. And then in the West, Milwaukee's about 10 games up on Cincinnati. There's still time. Technically, the Diamondbacks are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. They can't win the division, but they could still get into the wild card if they were to win out and some other team went on a major losing streak. That's something we should keep our eye on, not just what's going on. Obviously, we always look at the Dodgers because they're one of our teams. We know the Angels are out of it. They, too, could go on a streak. They're not mathematically eliminated, but they need the Asterisks. They need the A's. They need the teams that they're going to play. The Mariners, who are playing pretty well, to all lose, and they've got to go on a major streak, and it's doubtful that's going to happen with their pitching situation. As we're seeing, there are a lot of teams that are dealing with injury issues. It's been a problem all season, and of course, they'll probably look at it a little more. We're going to blame it on COVID and the short season last year, and the one thing I keep hearing is soft tissue injuries. So it's not broken bones. It's not, I mean, there's still a lot of the Tommy John stuff, but soft tissue injuries, and why? So let's go take a look. And I'm hoping for one particular type of injury this week as we spin the wheel of IL.
Bad news for the Phillies. Rhys Hoskins is out for the season. He will have surgery to repair a tear in the lower abdomen.
Ouch!
Didn't he just come back?
He did. And it was, I think they said he had a groin injury or maybe it's hamstring. And then we learn he actually he has a tear in his abdomen.
Ouch!
So he has to get that.
That just
It sounds really bad. So he's out for the season.
Oh, yikes.
And then we moved to Minnesota and Kenta Maeda. I mentioned him last week and I was like, oh, he's got to be on the COVID list because it doesn't say what it is. It's undisclosed. But he will also have season-ending elbow surgery. Now, the thing about his elbow surgery is mostly you're like, oh, it's Tommy John surgery. They're not going to know if he's going to need Tommy John surgery, if he's going to have the full Tommy John surgery until he's in the operating room.
That kind of, I mean, the Twins aren't going anywhere this season, but it kind of sucks because you don't know until then whether he's out for almost 2 years, give or take, or if it'll be mid-season. You know, an elbow surgery, I'm sure he's going to have some time off, not just the rest of this season and the off season, but probably into spring as well. So, you know, who knows? But will it be longer?
Yeah, we won't know until he's under the knife, according to the Twins. So hopefully.
Would you want to like with your elbow? Because I know there's things you want to be asleep for. But if it's like your elbow and they can like just immobilize your arm, because I think a lot of times with that stuff they put you out more to keep you from moving
Yeah.
than otherwise. But would you want to watch them open up and get in there and see all the gooey insides?
No, I don't. I don't want to. I don't. I'm good with not knowing.
You know, when I had a colonoscopy, everybody said get put out, have them knock you out, and you wake up, it's over, and then the only thing you got to do is do recovery because they put you out, right? They put me out. They supposedly put me out. I was awake the whole time. I watched the whole procedure. I've seen myself on the inside in
TMI.
real time.
TMI.
Well, I got to thinking about it. It's like, could you imagine if they were doing a surgery and like they just move a screen over, you're awake, you can't feel anything, you're kind of immobilized down, and then you could just watch what's going on. I think that would be kind of cool in some sense. Haven't you ever watched like Nova on PBS and they're doing like and they're actually showing them trying to remove a junior mint out of a, all right. Maybe that wasn't Nova I was watching. All right. So anyway, who's next up on the list?
Those are the two big ones because they're done for the season. But we talked about a guy from Cleveland, Tristan McKenzie, who was pitching really great, and he was pitching so well that he is now on the IL with right shoulder fatigue.
Well, he did throw, what was it? 7 innings, over 7 innings, 2 outings in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe he just wasn't ready for that.
Probably. And they're saying it's just fatigue. So hopefully nothing more than that.
He's going to watch shows with Springer because that was Springer's thing. Remember?
That's
fatigue, right after he came back from the IL the first time.
Yep.
He got some tips on shows to watch.
He did.
From George.
Tampa Bay, G-Man Choi has a strained hamstring, and Brett Phillips has a sprained ankle, and that's probably from him being a cheerleader and dancing and doing all of his antics that he does on the
Choi
field.
is almost always on the IL. And then, like, I think he's still in the IL, and then I'll see G-Man Choi with a home run to lift the Rays over, the White Sox or whatever.
I know. It's crazy. Jesse Winker of Cincinnati has a strained intercoastal injury, just like Jared Walsh had. So he is out.
Costal. It's intercostal. Last week.
Did I say coastal?
Yeah, last week when we did this, and so I got to come clean because I thought about it afterwards. Was that wrong. I asked you what it was. You said intercoastal, and I said, yeah, that's it. Even after we had discussed it, intercostal when we did it. So it's intercostal. So obviously we don't know our body parts. Back to biology class.
And when I had this on my notes, I wrote intercoastal. So I don't know if I was thinking intercoastal waterways. I'm not sure. So intercoastal.
It's an intercostal.
Still said it. So because I'm looking at it. So I'm not going to look at it.
I don't even remember who it is you're talking about now. Intercostal?
Jesse Winker.
Oh, that's right. And he's been having some issues too. He's had such a great season up until then. He and Nick Castellanos were leading the league in everything to start out. And now they've kind of settled in, but they need him. The Reds really need him along with Castellanos. And of course, to add in with Joey Votto and Jonathan India to propel themselves beyond what the Dregs are doing. Because I want to see the Reds.
Yeah. I just took the A out. And it is intercoastal. Intercoastal.
Or costal.
Oh my gosh! I said it again. I took the A out and I said it the wrong way again.
Was there
Oh
two
my
A's
gosh.
in there?
Okay, enough about Jesse Winker and his
All
problem.
right, yeah, let's move on. Something past Jesse Winker. Some
Jack
other.
Jack Flaherty, strained shoulder.
Oh, okay.
I can say
and he's
that.
a pitcher.
And he's a
So
pitcher.
that's not an unusual thing. But he was on the IL earlier in the season. Was it a shoulder issue then as well, or do you remember?
For some reason, I want to say it was an oblique issue.
Oh, I love it. Finally, oblique.
Well, I do have a surprise for you.
Side. Oh, my side.
I have a surprise for you. Ross Stripling and Julian Merriweather, both pitchers for Toronto. We know Ross, of course. Both of them have strained obliques.
Oh, yay, obliques. That's what I was hoping for. We've had so many without obliques. La, 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 oh, my side.
The last one I want to end with before I get to COVID is Evan Longoria. Now, Evan Longoria has been on the IL. He had a sprained shoulder, and he was out for a while. And then everybody's like, oh, this is perfect. Chris Bryant. They got Chris Bryant. He'll play third. It'll be perfect. Then they said Evan Longoria is coming back. And then Evan Longoria got COVID. And he didn't come back. Now Evan Longoria has a hand contusion and is on the IL.
How did he get a hand contusion?
I don't know.
Was it in a game? I don't remember hearing about it. Well, hopefully it wasn't. Evan Longoria has been around long enough that he didn't hit a wall because of a video game or because of a bad outing or bad at bat, because people who hit all the time take it out on the bat or a helmet.
Right. I don't know. It seems fishy to me because you got Chris Bryant and they're like, Evan, we think that you need a hand contusion. So
it's time to fake an injury.
That's right. Has your hand been bothering you? Well, no, not really. And then Gabe Kapler smacks it against the railing of the dugout. It's like, well, there you go. Hand contusion.
That's right. Yeah.
It just is weird.
I don't know. It was an accident. Sorry, Evan.
Did accident. But now we're going to get to the COVID-19 IL. We mentioned the Rangers last week. They have 7 players, including Charlie Culbertson. We mentioned him. They are all in the COVID IL. And then Boston, Kike Hernandez, Christian Arroyo, Martin Perez, and Matt Barnes are all on the COVID IL for Boston. And now we look at San Francisco, Donovan Solano, Alex Wood, and Johnny Cueto.
So these guys, the pictures I get because they probably hang around a lot. And I know that with Kike, a lot of stuff on Twitter, people coming after him because of that. And saying, why aren't you vaccinated or whatever? He's like, he was.
Right.
Don't forget that just because you have the vaccination, it doesn't mean you can't get it. It just shouldn't be as bad as it could be. You're probably not going to be intubated at some point.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in the hospital. Right. Yeah.
But you can still get it and you can still give it to people who are unvaccinated. But probably someone unvaccinated gave it to the vaccinated people based on current statistics.
And the last person I want to mention on the COVID-19 IL, who has been on the IL because of elbow and Tommy John, is Noah Syndergaard.
How is it that a superhero like Thor?
I don't know. I was wondering. The hammer should have just been able to.
He should have just been able to kind of tap his arm and with the hammer, and it would have been good, right? Maybe he did. Maybe he hit his arm too hard with the hammer.
It's probably that.
It caused
And
his own injury that way.
caused his own injury, and then he's been, mouthing off and
Yeah, and he does that a lot. Now, you know what's weird is I see him, I think Thor, but normally, and it's odd because you don't see him this way now, but do you remember the movie Adventures in Babysitting?
yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio comes out. He's got longer blonde hair in the role, and the little girl who loves Thor sees him and thinks that he's Thor. If you see Vincent D'Onofrio now, you don't think that he's Thor.
No, not close.
Yeah, go watch Criminal Intent, the Law and Order Criminal Intent. He's right there. He was also like back in the 80s, even when you saw him in Mystic Pizza, he had a role in Mystic Pizza. No. Or, I'm sorry, I'm a Vincent D'Onofrio fan. He is a great actor. And, Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket.
I want to know, are you a Javi Baez fan?
I'm a touch and go with him. I like how he plays. I don't always like his attitudes. Why, do you ask?
Well, he decided he was the ringleader, and now we know that Francisco Lindor and Kevin Pillar are followers because they decided that when the fans boo them because they're striking out and not winning games, when they do something good, get a home run, get a run, whatever it is, they're going to boo the fans by doing a thumbs down sign at the fans.
Okay. Doing what? It makes no sense. I saw that, and it doesn't make any sense at all. What's the saying? When they go low, we go high. I've heard.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, just you take the high road. Your players. The fans are the fans. It doesn't matter. And guess what? These fans have been fans of the team you're on longer, in some cases longer than the players have even been alive.
So true.
So why would he think that he was okay? And why would Lindor, who's been a disappointment this season, when he was playing, he wasn't playing that good. Then he's on the IL, and it's just. And Pillar, I'm surprised by Pillar because the Mets fans, the Mets nation, if you want to call them that, were all behind him when he got hit in the face. Now they're probably going, should have knocked you out for the season.
Probably. Yet since Javier Baez became a Met, he's been hitting .207 with 3 homers, 5 RBIs in 16 games. He had a stint on the IL. The Mets are 9-20 since the trade deadline. They've dropped from first place in the National League East to third. Their playoff pitcher, pretty much they're out of it unless, they just start going on a tear, but don't see that happening. Francisco Lindor is got a 10-year contract. He's got 10 years of being in Queens. Javi Baez is a rental. He's going to be a free agent. So this is what Baez said. We're not machines. We're going to struggle 7 times out of 10. It just feels bad when I strike out and get booed. This is the next part that's so funny to me. It doesn't really get to me, but I want to let them know that when we're successful, we're going to do the same thing to let them know how it feels. So he says it feels bad to get booed, but it doesn't really bother him. And he's saying this all while his son is sitting on his lap during the after game press conference.
Right. So he brought his little human shield to avoid any, because people are going to go, oh, Look, because they blame if they asked him hard questions or gave him a hard time, everybody go, and he did it in front of his kid. You know,
Yeah,
why
right.
is that always the answer?
Well, yeah, they were giving so thumbs down. I think that the Mets fans continue to boo them, and when they get up to the plate, turn your back on them. Just get up, go get a beer or Coke or whatever, popcorn, peanuts. Go to the concession
I
stand.
don't
Go
know.
to the bathroom.
Go
Just
buy a Pete
empty.
Alonso jersey.
Oh yeah.
Or see if they've got some, the Cooperstown collection and get a Piazza or a Seaver jersey back to guys who didn't boo the home team and understood what it meant when the home fans and understood what it meant when if they got booed, why they were being booed, and they didn't turn around and boo the fans.
Yeah, and there's a guy. So they have the Mets fans have a fan group, which is their most prominent fan group, called the Seven Line Army.
Right, and they talked about them at Dodger Stadium because they were a lot were there. They had a really big section.
Yeah. So this guy named Brian Sokoloff, he said that when he heard Baez's comments, he said he felt like a middle finger had been extended in his direction. And he said, I was furious, but not surprised. I don't see what goes on beyond the scenes, but the vibe that I got from these exact players doing this was not a winning attitude. I don't feel they were winners. And this board out, I want them all gone. The people that gave the fans the FU, basically, they have no business here. So that was from the New York Post, because I was curious. I'm like, well, how are the Mets fans? We're only hearing from, Sandy Alderson, who says this is not going to be tolerated. And Steve Cohen, who's like, I wish the controversy was about black jerseys. And now you've got, the Seven Line Army coming out and saying, we don't want you here. And again, like I said, Javi Baez, he's a rental. He's not going to be there long. Francisco Lindor, he's going to be there longer.
But he has a limited no trade clause. So there is some wiggle room if they chose to try to see if they could trade him off somewhere. So that, I doubt that that's going to happen. And honestly, if they were able to come around and get into the playoffs and have some success, there's nothing that makes you forget this kind of stuff more than winning.
That's true. And, I look at the Dodgers and the Dodger fans and the controversy with Kenley Jansen. He has been booed at Dodger Stadium on one night. He comes back out again. He saves the game. Everyone cheers for him. It's part of the game. I am not someone who boos. I'm not. It's just not.
Not unless you're at a wrestling match and it's part of all the fun and game.
Right. Exactly. But I think fans, they have the right to show their disappointment. And you can see fans show their disappointment by not coming to the games. They're not, supported. I'd just rather watch it on TV. Why am I paying all this money to go to a game where they're going to lose?
And then boo me.
And then boo. Yeah, exactly. And then I get booed.
Hey, Javi, guess what? You want to know how it feels? We stopped coming to the games because you're playing. There's no reason for them to sign you next year. Have fun in Baltimore.
Exactly. Well, Francisco Lindor and Javier Baez have apologized to the New York Mets fans, saying that they were wrong for giving thumbs down gestures. Lindor says it doesn't look good on our part. Maybe when he was at the U.S. Open, he had some time to think about. He's like, I don't want to act like some of these tennis players. And
he had an epiphany.
He had an epiphany.
It was on the line. I saw the chalk fly up. Those lines are painted on. They're spray painted. There were no chalk to fly up, John. I don't know what you're.
Yeah, and Javi Baez, of course, came out and said, he tweeted out, "We just want to stay together." Well, staying together is they boo you, and I guess you boo them, if that's the
I guess that's it. Staying together. How about this? How about stay together and build a winning culture? That's what I think. Everything was supposed to be overnight, I think, which is the sad part about this.
Yeah.
And they started off well, and we know they were first place like 3 months. The other teams couldn't stay above 500. And now whatever was going on in Atlanta and Philadelphia, they're figuring it out at the right time, whereas the Mets are imploding.
Yeah.
And part of their problem, we know, is that they too have had some pitching issues. Their best pitcher is not on the mound. Their other, one of their other better pitchers is still recovering from, and he's a guy who I think might have joined in on the booing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have been
I can totally see that. I think Javi Baez has been sheltered when he played with the Cubs. Cubs fans don't do that. Because they're long-suffering fans. They were, and maybe they're getting, I don't know how they feel now that their team has been pulled apart, but they're more polite and they're on the north side of Chicago. This is Queens. This is New York. This is the nitty gritty. All I can say to Javi Baez is he's glad that he does not play in Philadelphia. They have thrown, this is cut him. They would have met him.
No, and I
outside.
don't mean that by like, I don't mean like they would have cut him from the team. I mean, there would have
I know exactly.
There's probably somebody would have come in. He'd have been running back in from somebody would have jumped out and slashed him real quick. And everybody, all the fans would have probably cheered. Even the team would have been like, "Well, Javi, you came here, you ran your mouth."
We lived
brotherly love, justice.
Yeah. Lived on the East Coast, 45 minutes from Philly, spent a lot of time in Philadelphia and love the city. But those sports fans in Philly they're tough and they will love you when you win and they will hate you when you lose. And they will let you know, even at an Eagles game, Santa Claus was there and they threw snowballs at Santa Claus. So, Yeah,
well, and they all got another year of coal.
That's why
they were mad at him, and then he kept them on the naughty list.
He kept them on. So
probably lucky that he didn't have to deal with any of this, the fallout, and probably lucky that he was never a Philly, although he's open. Former Met, although he never made it up to the big team.
Oh, Josh Reddick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of forgot about him.
Talk about somebody that would have got cut. He'd have got cut physically and as happened with the Mets. So I'm not sure if that's a sad thing for the Mets or if it's like, will this turn him around? Because it seems like about the time that they decided to give him the minor league contract, they really started collapsing.
Yeah. And then they, and they won the game when they started booing the fans, because that was the whole thing. But they won like one game. And they thought, we're going to boo you. And then we find out, sadly, Josh Reddick has been cut from the Mets. He had a minor league contract. He's been cut.
Yes, it was sadly. I mean, no more Josh Reddick. He's so out of the league right now. He should have never been in the league.
He didn't have a lot of plate appearances in Syracuse, but the plate appearances he did have were not memorable. Hit 182. Met said, "You got to go. He was a mid 200 hitter. Yeah. Except for, I think he had a season with the A's where he hit closer to 290-ish. Yeah, like 296, and that was okay. That's so probably almost like the 300.
Top. So So that, people looked at, Reddick's not a bad player. He's a solid player. And he went to Houston and, of course, got overvalued because in 2017 he hit 314, 315 or something like that.
314, yep.
But we know why. And if we go back to like one of those things where somebody heard all of the drum pounding, the trash can pounding, he's probably up to plate a lot of times, him and Altuve and,
Yeah,
So ding dong, Reddick's gone. Reddick's gone. Reddick's gone. Ding dong. That big, I don't know what to call him, is gone.
Yeah, he just is a greasy hair. Yeah, he always said that the Dodger fans didn't like him and they were mean to him. I'm like, Dodger fans, if you're doing well, they will root for you. And they did. They, if he was doing things,
just like we root for everybody else. It's about the team.
But yeah, and I'm sure that if he had been called up, he would have been a follower of Baez, and he would have been, thumbs down. So
he'd have posted on Twitter, thumbs down, and the Loki smiling guy like he did. Like, Mets fans, you're lame.
Yeah, I think this might be it for Josh Reddick.
And that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast.
Remember, you can find us on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, and on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB.
We're also on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A. Email us, show@siblingrivalrybb.com. We'd love to hear what you think, so subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to our podcast.
Next week on SRBB, Jeff waxes poetically about attending his first in-person baseball game 50 years ago.
Boo! I liked it.
I think it's good.
Right.